The first month I owned he bucked me up, drove my head in the ground, gave me a concussion. And I had this saying on my refrigerator. It was a John Wayne saying that said, courage is being scared to death and saddling up anyway.
Welcome to Beyond the Chutes. In this episode, we talk to Maureen Skeet Barrett. Now, she was born and raised on a horse and dairy farm in upstate New York around a town called Sequoit. And this was a conversation that I'd been looking forward to for a long time. A few weeks ago, we started texting back and forth. We finally got arranged, and it is so cool that I was able to get her for this show. I'd heard a lot about Skeet over the years, heard a lot about her winning ways, if you will. Never had an opportunity to meet her. Never had a conversation before this one, so it was fun to pick up the phone, have a conversation, learn a lot about her, and she has a lot of interesting adventures that she shares. Her rodeo career started with a serious health scare. So what follows is her story. I hope that you enjoy. How are you tonight, Skeet?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I am good. Good to finally connect with you. I've been looking forward to this all week. Ever since we started messaging back and forth, I've been excited about getting on the phone and talking with you.
Well, I have been too, but a little nervous as well.
Well, that's okay. You've got a lot of stories to tell. Just know you're amongst friends. Okay. And we'll cover some ground. So the first thing I got to ask you, and you've probably been asked this 1,000 times, how did you gain the name Skeet? I love the name. I don't know there's a better rodeo name than Skeet.
I know. When I was very little, I had a brother that was 8 years older than I am, and my real name is Maureen Tina, and I was a tomboy, and he didn't think Maureen suited me, and he started calling me Skeet. And he doesn't know why he came up with that, but I think at the time there was a country western singer called Skeeter Davis.
I remember her. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I think that's where he got it from, but it stuck. I mean, to this day, my doctors and dentists, they call me Skeet, you know.
That's your official name on all the documents and official records?
No, on the official records, it's Maureen.
Okay. Well, if it's okay, I'm going to call you Skeet throughout this conversation, if that'd be all right.
Everybody else does, so.
Okay. Perfect. So born and raised on a horse and dairy farm in Sequoit, New York. First off, for our listeners, where is Sequoit?
It's 8 miles south of Utica, about an hour east of Syracuse.
Okay.
I live out in the country. I grew up on a dairy farm. We had a dairy farm on one side of the road, and the other side was a horse farm. And my dad was a 4-H leader, and he had like 20 kids on horses doing drills. So every Sunday and during the summer, he always took the day off of, his chores, and he worked with all us kids.
As a drill team.
As a drill team.
Okay.
And he taught me to ride by myself when I was 3 years old, and had a big mare that just babysat me. And I think at the time you had to be 9 to be into the 4-H. Mm-hmm. And the head of the 4-H came up, and I was 8 years old, and Dad tried to get me, into the drill team because, I'm very sad because it can't be. And
right.
and so I had to ride in front of this guy and prove that I was, very capable.
Okay.
So, but we went all over putting on drills at horse shows, and of course we compete at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And you'd go on the same horse. You'd go from Western pleasure class right into a barrel racing class.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So you did both pleasure classes and also
Yep.
games, barrels,
Yep.
poles, flags, all the,
I did everything, command class, equitation, we just did everything.
all on the same horse.
All on the same horse.
Absolutely. And that horse, now you're talking about that mare that raised you,
hmm
right?
hmm Right.
What was she best at?
Everything. I mean,
Everything.
she had a big heart,
Okay.
and
Okay.
she just took care of me,
Yeah.
and she was awesome. And I don't like mares,
Yeah.
and she was awesome, but she didn't act like a mare. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I was very fortunate in how I got to grow up.
Okay. Okay. So lots of horse showing, like every
Right.
week kind of horse showing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
And just open shows?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So no breed shows, no quarter horse shows, nothing like that. But you could
Not really, no.
But you could be somewhere every weekend riding.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
And
Yep.
so that's how you got your start. Then how long then before you found rodeo and started to move? Did you move away from horse showing to rodeo, or did you kind of just blend
This
off
is
into it a bit? Yeah.
This is a funny story.
Okay.
Okay. My husband, Dickie Barrett,
Mm-hmm.
old man Barrett's son,
Yeah.
he lived a mile down the road.
Oh, okay.
And I couldn't stand him growing up. Okay.
Now, wait a minute. Let me back up. This is your husband. Now husband you're talking about.
Yes, you're right.
Okay.
That's why it's a funny story.
Okay.
So he was persistent. He
Mm.
would see me go by with my mother, and he'd ride his horse over, and I'd send my brother out to tell him that I wasn't home. Okay.
Yeah.
And he was very persistent.
Yeah.
Until my brother said, I just broke up with a guy, and my brother said, why don't you go out with Dickie? He's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
And so I did. And it took off from there.
Okay.
And we're just shy of 45 years married.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And congratulations. And
Thank you.
And how old were you when you met Dickie? Or a mile down the road, you knew him a long time. How old were you when you started to go steady? Is that the right term?
Yeah, I knew him my whole life, and we started dating, and I think I was 16.
16. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and then that because his family was doing a lot of rodeos at that point, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Dickie, he rode bulls for 10 years, and he was a con and bullfighter for 16.
Okay. And he was Ma
Right.
in the Model T, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And he liked telling jokes, and he was good at it.
Yeah. Yeah. So at 16, did you start hauling? Did you start going to rodeos? No.
No. So when we got together, we didn't have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we got married, I started taking pictures at rodeos, developing them and selling them back to the cowboys.
Okay.
And when we get to a rodeo, everybody was coming to the truck before we even stopped to get out of the truck to, they wanted to see if I had got a picture of them.
Oh.
And I had a very profitable business.
Okay. Okay.
But I got a blood clot in my leg that I'm not much for going to doctors. And so I kind of held off until I couldn't walk. And I went into the doctor on crutches. And the doctor looked at me and he said, you have a blood clot. If that moves, you're dead.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was in the hospital for a week.
Okay.
And I said to Dickie, I don't want to be taking pictures. I want to be barrel racing.
Really?
You
At
know,
that point, you said time
at
to.
that point,
Okay.
yes.
And how old would you have
You
been at
know,
that point, Skeet?
oh, I don't even
Roughly?
know.
Roughly?
Oh gosh,
Ah,
I don't. Let me think. Maybe 30,
maybe 30. Okay. Okay.
late 20s or 30.
Okay. And to that point, you were a rodeo photographer. You were in the arena taking pictures.
Exactly,
Okay.
and
Okay.
was very successful at that.
Now, this would have
But
been early 80s?
this, gosh, you're putting me on the spot
Well,
here.
maybe so.
I'm trying to think. Let me think. I got the blood clot in my leg. In yeah, 82, 83, something
Okay.
like that.
Okay. Okay. And
So I said, this isn't, I could have died. I don't want to do this. I want to barrel race.
yeah. Yeah.
So, but this is where Betty Johnson comes in.
Okay. Okay.
And Betty said, I know of a horse for sale. It'd be a good starter horse for you. So I'm on crutches. We go look at this horse, and I'm not supposed to get on it, but I got on it and just walked it around, and
hmm
and we ended up buying the horse.
Okay.
And this horse also taught both Dickie and I to rope.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep. So I went to my very first barrel racing clinic in Attica,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
and it was Lynn McKenzie teaching it.
Oh, okay.
So world champion barrel racer, and that's how I got my start.
Okay. Okay. And how long did you campaign that horse? What was the name of the horse you got that
Blue Boy.
Blue Boy. And was Blue Boy New York horse?
Yes.
Okay. So how long did you campaign Blue Boy?
I don't think very long.
hmm
The only rodeos we went to with him was like an open rodeo.
Okay.
And I needed to step up into something better.
Okay. Now,
So, yep,
was this around the time we talked with Betty Johnson? Was this around the time of the Empire Barrel Racing Association, or was this after that?
after that.
After that.
Well, it might have been around the time, but I wasn't in that.
hmm So, what associations then were you starting to run in?
When I started, Kathy Mitchell had a, what was it called? Girls. I got a buckle here, I think, that says on there.
That's a great way to keep track of your history. I love it.
Yeah, Central New York Girls Barrel Racing Association.
Okay.
That's how I got my start.
Now was this, would you be competing with that association at rodeos, or did they have their own standalone barrel races?
No, I think most of them were at Kathy Mitchell's. There were some that were, away from there. But I didn't start rodeo until I got the next horse.
Okay. What was the next horse?
Next horse was Spinner of the Winter. Actually, his registered name was Cloud Spinner.
Cloud Spinner. So Spinner the Winner.
Yep. That's what I called him, Spinner of the Winter. And he came up for sale. I was at a jackpot at Mitchell's Arena,
Mm-hmm.
and the girl was just trying to get this horse into the arena,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a 5-year-old, and he blew apart and smashed the side of a pickup truck.
Oh, my goodness.
And I said to Dickie, I want that horse. I think it has lots of potential.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Dickie and my friends are on like, are you crazy?
Yeah,
This
yeah.
horse will kill you,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, long story short, we ended up buying him
Okay.
very cheap.
Do you now in today's terms, do you remember what you paid for that horse?
I
If
do.
you want
I
to
think
share. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was
Oh,
$1,600.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was a 5-year-old, bred very well off
Yeah.
the track,
Oh, really?
and
Okay.
won money on the quarter horse track every time he raced.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But had been in the wrong hands, and he had a major screw loose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we bought him, and it was in September. And the first month I owned him, he bucked me up, drove my head in the ground, gave me a concussion.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, a concussion.
And yep.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And every time I rode him, he tried to buck me off.
Yeah.
And I had this saying on my refrigerator. It was a John Wayne saying that said, courage is being scared to death and saddling up anyway.
Oh, my goodness.
So at that point, my dad was still alive, and
Mm-hmm.
he said to me one day, I'll bet you $1,000. No, I'll bet you that you can't make $1,000 with that horse.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, oh, yeah, watch me.
Okay.
And so it was right after that I started getting with the horse.
Okay.
The first place I take him to barrel races back up Kathy Mitchell's, where he destroyed the side of a pickup truck.
Right.
And the girl that owned him was there with her good horse, and everybody else that had seen what happened. And I was first up, and he walked to the arena with his head down, just like, we're going for a trail ride. I picked him up. We ran a set of barrels, and we won it that day.
Oh, my goodness. So what
the
changed?
Girl,
Yeah.
The girl that owned him came over to me and said, Skeet, I don't know what you did, but can I buy him back?
Okay.
And I said, no, absolutely not.
Right. Right.
What changed was he trusted me. I won his trust. I won his love. He'd do anything for me after that.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
So my father, I go over and I put $1,000 down on the table.
Yeah.
And my father looked at me and he said, it worked, didn't it?
Ah.
And I said, what? And he said, I knew you were having trouble with this horse.
Yeah.
And that's why I bet you that, you couldn't do it because you proved me wrong.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And do you remember what you did that helped build the connection between you and Spinner the Winner?
Yeah.
It sounded like he was sour. Was he a bit sour when you got him?
Oh, he was downright mean.
Mean. Okay.
Yeah. I did a lot of groundwork with him.
Okay.
But
well, that's neat that
yeah,
you can turn a horse around like that. That is super impressive.
And that's what I've always liked to do.
Yeah, that is really cool. So with Spinner the Winner, he was the one that put you on the road. Go ahead.
He's the one that put me on the map.
Okay.
People started to look at me because it was a lot of track rodeos at the time, and he was great at track rodeos.
He liked the footing.
Oh yeah,
okay.
he loved it, and he still had. A screw loose, we still would buck once in a while if he got, uncomfortable, but you just, dealt with it. You didn't get after him.
Right.
And so we started rodeoing with him, and I always had pretty runs, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And people know, oh, it was such a pretty run.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be like, on other than tracks, I'd be like, one out of the money every time.
Okay.
And I didn't like that, and I didn't want to be a pretty rider, and I wasn't an aggressive rider.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a bull rider came to me one day, and he said, Skeet, you need to do what bull riders do before they ride to get yourself mad. So you sit up and ride. So after that, then I started taking off, and Spinner and I, got on the map.
So he could sense from you the way you were riding. You mean to play in these bigger arenas.
Yeah.
Okay. So the signals you're sending him, once you said, I'm going to be aggressive, I'm going to push, we're going to go get this, right? I'll be done. And he responded to that.
Yep.
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
Because I had the confidence in the drive, and they sense everything, and so, he got the confidence too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. That's an amazing story. I love hearing that. So what associations were you riding then? So you're taking off, you're great on the tracks, and I'm assuming that's narrow and footing, right? Both narrow track arena.
Yep.
And then the big arena is a little bit deeper ground and longer between the barrels. And he likes to stretch out and go?
Yep.
Okay.
And so we started doing good everywhere we went. And I rode him. I bought him when he was 5. I had to retire him when he was 18. He got worst case of Cushing's disease that Cornell University had ever seen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So then I'm looking for another horse.
Okay. Now, back to Spinner the winner. What think of the best years you had with him. What were the big shows? What were the things that stood out for you?
Oh gosh. I don't know. It was all the track rodeos with him that he, I couldn't be beat. But the other thing is, I had so many people tell me that horse is a puke. You'll never do good with that horse.
Oh, wow.
And what'd you do by that horse? And just all this negative stuff. And I always took it when somebody is, trying to put me down, that I must be a threat or they wouldn't be trying as hard.
I see. Yeah.
And so I don't know. He made the name Skeet Barrett.
Okay. And what associations were you were riding APRA?
Yes.
Okay.
APRA and WPRA.
And WPRA? IPRA at all?
Yeah, a little here and there, but not much.
Okay. And when you were you going the most when you had him, Spinner the winner? Was that your heaviest travel?
No, it was the next horse I bought.
Okay. Okay.
The Scud Missile.
Now, what was the name?
The Scud Missile.
Scud Missile. Okay. And did you have, and Scud Missile is a gelding, I take it?
Yes.
Okay. And how old was he when you bought him?
He was 9.
He was 9. And were you still hauling Spinner the winner at that point?
No, I think I had quit hauling him. I think we bought Missile before I actually stopped with Spinner.
You did? Okay.
Yes.
And so he was, Scud Missile. You call him Scud or you call him Missile?
Missile.
Missile. So Missile was ready to run when you got him? He was ready to go campaign?
Oh, yes. He was the real deal. But Missile had a lot of spirit. And he wasn't a mean horse whatsoever, but he had happy feet. And he bucked all the time, and the girl I bought him from got bucked off in the alleyway, and
oh my!
It just wasn't a good match between them.
So wait a minute. Happy feet?
Happy feet.
What does that mean? Happy feet.
He's not bucking to be mean. He's bucking because he feels good. He's
Okay.
happy, you
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
And the the girl that owned him up until he was 8,
Yeah.
um, took the spirit out of him.
Oh.
And so he didn't run well when he hit barrels.
Okay.
And then I put the spirit back in him,
Okay.
and we immediately um, started winning, and I made it to my first Frontier Circuit finals the first year I owned them.
Oh, very nice. Okay. Okay. So let me
Yeah.
back up a little bit. Where did
Okay.
where did Missile come from? What town? What area?
In Saratoga.
In Saratoga. Was he also off the track?
No, I don't think he was.
Okay.
No.
But a 9-year-old, they'd been campaigning him for a while.
Yes.
You had seen him run?
I had seen him run
Mm-hmm.
and knew that, he had issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I like getting these horses that have issues and turning them around.
Okay. Okay. And you say you gave his spirit back.
Yes.
And I'm guessing that has elements of trust and relationship in it, like it was with Spinner the Winner?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. He again loved me to death, and he was the best horse ever.
Okay. Okay.
I could take him on tracks, big arenas, deep arenas. It didn't matter what it was.
Okay. So you made the first Frontier Circuit, PRCA, WPRA.
Yep.
And how hard were you? So if you're living in Sequoia, you're traveling to Painted Pony for PRCA, and you're traveling to Cowtown, New Jersey?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cowtown's a bit of a haul. That's 6 hours, right?
It's 6 hours.
Okay.
And the one year we were winning the circuit, and Dickie said to me, if you want to win the circuit, you got to go to Cowtown. And I said, well, that's on my bucket list, is I want to win Cowtown. And he said, well, you can't win it without going there. And
Right.
so we went there, and Missile, was used to run in, run out, and Cowtown is a set-up arena. And we had an awful first 2 tries.
Okay.
Because, he's going every which way. And the third try, I decided to try a different way to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me, if you're in the slack, don't even bother to come because you can't place in slack because of the ground.
Oh, because they don't work the ground the same way?
Well, the ground gets deep.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah.
So that night I was last in slack to run.
So deepest ground.
Right.
Okay.
And I won it.
And you won it. Okay.
Yes. And I won it. And it's funny because the girls had said to me, because I was winning on these tracks, Skeet, come down into our turf.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I go down and I won it, but there was a problem with the ground at Cowtown going into that first barrel, and horses were going down, and Dickie and I looked at each other, and I said, it isn't worth winning the circuit, taking a chance on hurting Missile.
For sure.
And Dickie agreed with me, so we didn't go back.
You didn't go back?
No.
Okay.
Didn't go back.
Now, when
my horse meant more to me than winning a circuit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that makes sense. So you were riding then to get your first Frontier points. You were riding Gary. You were riding North Washington, Pennsylvania. Those were PRCA at the time?
Great rodeos.
Yeah.
Great rodeos.
And so you take Gary, which would be what, 2 hours from you?
No, more than that.
More than that?
It was like 5, 6 hours.
Really? Okay. 5 or 6 hours. Okay. And how many goes might you have at Gary?
Yeah, 2 goes.
2 goes. And back to back, would you try to work back
Yeah.
and back to slack? What would you?
No, they always gave you back to
Back performances?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. And you would go out and stay out?
Yes.
Okay. And when you were going, so this is, if I can do the math, you bought Spinner the Winner in 82, more or less?
Somewhere there.
So this would be in the early 90s we're talking now?
Let me look at the buckles again.
Okay. Yes. I love it. Look at your trophy case. You can tell, oh, I must have been to that rodeo. I got a buckle, you'll say.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh. It was 99 was when I bought Missile.
Oh, really? 99. Okay.
99, and that was the year that I made it to the first circuit finals and won a go round.
And where was the circuit finals at that time? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're really testing my memory here.
This is for the Facebook New York Rodeo Museum Facebook page.
Dickie, when I made the circuit finals, actually I made the circuit finals with Spinner. The first one was Albany. But what was the first one with Missile?
Probably Binghamton.
Yeah, it was Binghamton.
Binghamton.
Yes.
Okay. Binghamton, New York. Okay, excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And so in 99, you're going pretty hard. Was that a pretty busy year for you?
Yeah. I mean, every year after that was busy. I rode Missile from the time he was 9 until he was 21. I retired him.
Oh, wow. Okay. So describe maybe for our listeners, when did the rodeo season really, really start for you, let's say in 99 or 2000? What month did you crack out and really start to go?
Oh, it was probably June, but 4th of July really kicked off everywhere. And then it went till Labor Day, and you had, some after that, of course, like Glens Falls. But, it was mainly, most of it was July to Labor Day.
And so in that time period, what would a typical week look like? So you might throw in North Washington, you might throw in Gary into this typical week. Leave the house when, return when?
We leave on Friday. We get out of work early, and there was this, I think it might have been called, let me look at the buckles.
Were you you rode then Boston Spa?
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
All American
yes,
there.
I did. Yeah. We'd go from, I think it was it Greensburg?
Oh, yeah.
Like the weekend we went from Pennsylvania and we went to Cowtown, and then we went to Cape Cod.
Oh my goodness, Cape Cod.
We didn't used to sit on the couch much.
Yeah, we didn't sit on the couch much.
And that's what I'm trying to get to, just to give our listeners kind of an understanding of what, if you're going to campaign and go, what can you expect from a week? You cut out of work early. Probably all your vacation time was Friday afternoons, right?
Right.
Or something like that.
And there was many times that, we'd get home, maybe get an hour or two sleep and go to work on Monday.
Still got horses to unload. Still got horses to take care of.
Right.
And then so start it all over again come Friday. And that's if you're not up at North Washington or Gary or a midweek deal.
right.
Okay.
Gary was one of my absolute favorite rodeos. And it's funny because I never won that.
Okay.
I placed. I won on, a lot of rodeos in the Northeast, but I never won Gary, but that was one of my very favorite rodeos.
And what made it your favorite, Skeet?
I don't know really. It was a Barnes rodeo. We'd stay overnight and we'd have a campfire and everybody get together and with food, and it was just and I know the ground was always good. It was a nice arena. I just always liked there, and I always liked Painted Pony.
Painted Pony. Okay. Okay. Up around Lake George there. Okay.
Missile loved Painted Pony Arena.
Okay. So was that a Saturday night show for you then, Painted Pony? Typically?
Typically, I guess, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go to Double M and then you go to Painted Pony.
So you're on the road from Friday through Sunday, get home late on Sunday. What were you driving at the time? How did you travel?
Well, it's funny because I know we had a custom fab, and we had a F250 we started with. And then when I was 39, we got our first living quarters trailer, because when we'd be in Gary or somewhere, before that I'd get up early with a bucket and not clean up because I didn't have a living quarters.
Okay.
So I thought I had it made when I was 39 years old.
When you were 39 years old, got a trailer with living quarters. Prior to that, were you pulling goosenecks? Did you have a pickup truck with a slide-in camper?
Back when I was a photographer, we had a truck with a slide-in camper. But mainly it was all goosenecks.
Okay. So before the living quarters, you would sleep in the trailer?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. And then, and so, yeah. And this is interesting to me. So you get home on Sunday nights, you got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you got to clean up gear. You got to get ready to go again. You got to make your plans. You got to take care of horses. How did you keep the horse at this point, Scud Missile? How did you keep him in condition through the summer? What was the routine?
Missile never saw a set of barrels at home. Never.
Okay.
If he had done something wrong, he would have, but he never did anything wrong. If a mistake was made, it was because the rider made the mistake, not because of Missile.
Okay.
So it was just riding. Missile loved to run the hill. That was his thing. That was his happy place.
The hill.
The hill.
So describe that for us.
It's up by, we have a rodeo arena up on the hill, and there was like a swale that you'd start down below, and then you'd run past the rodeo arena and then up the hill to the top.
Okay. And how far was that?
You don't know how far that was. It was, it was a good stretch to run, and a lot of times he'd get in the middle of that hill on a dead run and he'd just buck.
Happy feet.
Happy feet. And he was so funny because if you yelled at him, he would stop.
Really?
But he would just, he'd stop bucking. But if you thought you were going to manhandle him, he'd keep bucking.
and bucking out of happiness, is that what you think?
Yep.
Okay.
Because he felt good and he was happy.
Okay.
I kept him happy,
And when he was happy, he'd run.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was nice because we go to rodeo, and I knew that if I didn't mess up, we'd get a check.
Okay. All on the rider, mostly.
Yep.
That's a lot of
Yep.
maturity that you would recognize that and realize the potential of the horse and know that the rider's got to do their job too.
Right.
That's
And
pretty impressive.
I had a lot of trust in him, which, you know, a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And you never drilled him or ran him at the house?
Never.
Never. You just
Nope.
decent conditioning.
Yep.
And he was pretty broke to the barrels. I don't know if I'm using the right language here, Skeet. He knew how
Oh,
to
yes.
turn barrels when you got him?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, he was just the best.
And then
So,
and
yep.
then traveling with a horse. How do you
Mhm.
keep them? I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong. A lot of hours standing in a trailer, a lot of hours standing beside the trailer.
Mhm.
Health, happiness.
Mhm.
How do you keep them engaged? How did he travel?
Well, that's kind of funny too, because we had to haul Dickie's rope horse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because in order to warm him up, Dickie had to pony him with the rope horse.
Really?
Oh, because he bucks so. And so he would buck and strike at Dickie and the rope horse and bite at him, and girls would stand there and tell me, Skeet, I wouldn't ride that horse for no money. And he got away from Dickie twice, once at Cowtown and once up at Thousand Acres, but
Okay.
he didn't go far.
Okay. Okay. And once he went through those antics, then
Mhm.
would he settle in and he's fine?
He did, but when I got on him, if he um was still a little bronchi,
Yeah.
I would smile, because the bronchier he was, the better he ran.
Okay. So in the in the alleyway, might he get happy feet? Might he act up just a bit?
No,
No.
no.
So once it was time for work, he knew where he was.
Well, he knew his job, and
Yeah.
he was all business.
Okay. Okay. And you got a sense he simply enjoyed running.
He loved it. He absolutely loved it.
So talk about the big ones, the finals, the performances that you just stand back and shake your head and go, I don't know how we did that. Anything come to mind, or a lot of them come to mind?
We had a lot of them, but it's one finals, ARA finals, and in Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
And Missile and I loved the Syracuse Coliseum.
Mm-hmm.
And we won the first round. We won the second round. And the announcer, I'll never forget it. I didn't hear it then because I zone out, but
Mm-hmm.
he said, she won it the first round, and this time she won the second round, and this time, let's see what you got.
Yeah, yeah.
And he came running in, and he ran the same time as the first two
Wow.
performances, but we ended up third, but we won the average.
You won the average. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did that get you year end as well?
We didn't win the year round.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But we were up there. But
Okay.
my favorite performance with him was Glens Falls.
Okay. Okay.
Now, I hated Glens Falls Arena because with Spinner, you lead them down this concrete tunnel,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get on just before they call your name, and you come out running at the first.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you're bent over in the saddle.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't tell me that you also had a metal gate piping that went across. So when I came up,
Oh.
it caught me right square between the eyes.
Oh, my goodness. So above the gate where you went through?
Yes.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
so
Oh,
I let go of the reins and I just grabbed the saddle horn because I'm seeing stars. I'm not knocked out, but I'm
imagine.
seeing stars.
Oh, my.
Spinner went in there. He ran the whole pattern and came out, and we were sixth place out of 40-some girls.
And you never touched the reins?
No, I held onto the horn, and I kind of just slid off onto the ground, and Dickie didn't see what happened, and he came over and hands on his hips, and he says, "What the hell were you doing out there?"
Yeah, yeah.
And everybody proceeded to tell him what happened.
Oh, my goodness.
So I'm on Missile, and Dickie said, "You got to enter Guns Falls." There was more money added that year.
Mm-hmm.
And Missile was at the top of his game. He had just won the ARA finals.
Mm-hmm.
And a good friend of ours, Kimber Ham, died of carbon monoxide poisoning down in Georgia at the NBHA finals.
Oh.
And we went to the calling hours, and her husband said, "Kimber was so excited for you winning the finals, you would have thought she won it."
Oh, my goodness.
So we're coming home, and I said, Dickie, if there's something we want to do and we can afford it, we need to do it. You don't know when your number is up. And and Dickie said, "I'm fine. What about you?" And I said, "Missile's at the top of his game. I just want to run against a world champion."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Well, we won't do it around here. We'll have to go to Florida or somewhere." And so 2 weeks later, I entered Guns Falls in Kimber's memory. And I get to the entry office, and there's beautiful buckles. I'm a buckle nut. And I came out, and I said to Dickie, "Where do you see those buckles? One of them is mine."
Okay.
And Dickie looked at me, and he said, "This might be a little bit harder, hon." And I looked at the roster. I'm third, and Molly Powell from Stephenville, Texas, is right behind me.
Okay. Okay.
Be careful what you wish for.
Right. Right.
And I looked at him and I said, "It's still mine."
Yeah. Good.
The fire is just coming out, And so we're in the cement puddle in line, and Missile is yawning.
Yawning.
Okay? Yes.
Okay.
And I'm slapping his face, saying,
Yeah.
"Missile, come on,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
important, you know?"
Yeah.
And Molly Powell must have thought I was a real nut. And so it was my turn. I got on. We came out, made a missile run, and I looked up at the clock, and it was 13.00.
Wow. 13 flat. Okay.
Yep. And Missile kicked everything in sight, so they had to put me in a separate pen.
Okay.
And then I jumped up to watch Molly, and Molly Powell had a great run, and I looked at time. She was 13.03.
03. So by 3/100ths of a second, you beat her. So you beat your world champion. You're number one.
Yes.
Okay.
And she was trying to make it to the NFR. She was right on the bubble. And so she got second at Glens Falls. And then the next morning, she and her husband drove up there from Texas. Next morning, she flew out of there, and her mother had her other horse in California. She placed there.
Oh, wow.
And she made the finals. She made the NFR.
Yeah.
And that year, we were out there and saw it. She won the average for 120,000.
Holy cow. You were out there. You went out.
We have season tickets, so we went out.
Oh, wow. So you go out every year to the NFR?
Just about every year.
Oh, that is so neat. How many rounds do you typically go?
4 rounds.
Rounds.
First 4 rounds.
Okay. Opening. Okay. All right. Excellent. But you got to see her, and that is so neat. And that's something to go there and cheer on someone that you know. Isn't that cool? It's
really cool. And, it's just, I I was ready to retire at that point because it didn't get any better than that.
Okay. Now, I was going to ask before you said that, any temptation to say, you know what? Let's go a little further afield. Let's head west. Any temptation to do that ever through your career?
Well, one of the girls that rodeoed with, she wasn't married, and one year she said, our horses are running great. How about you and I go to Texas, for the winter rodeos? We'll take a month, and if you do good, we'll stay, and if we don't, we'll come home.
Yeah.
And I looked at Dickie, and he said, I've seen how she parties. You are not going with her.
Okay. 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 Yeah.
But, I don't think, in all honesty, I don't think Missile would have done good with that kind of hauling.
Okay. Okay. But he hauled pretty good locally? He did okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he had to have his buddy with him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So one of the things you've talked about that is just standing out for me is the relationship that you have with the horses. You see a horse that is challenging to anyone else, both with Spinner the Winner and with Scud Missile, and you said, no, I like this horse. I want to buy this horse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
I've had others that we bought
yeah.
that were a challenge that just needed some trust and love.
Mm-hmm.
And, we ended up selling them.
Mm-hmm.
One horse in particular that was really bad, we sold to a 13-year-old girl that went barrel racing.
Okay. Okay. And she connected with him okay and did okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's something.
Yep.
Yeah, that is so neat. So almost rehabilitation a bit, or definitely learning and understanding what makes that horse tick. Happy feet. I've never heard that, I don't believe, describing a horse, especially one that likes to buck. He's happy. He's not doing it to be mean. He's happy.
He's just happy, and I like, I like my horses. I always, when I started this, I said I never want to be a one-horse wonder.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I want to be able to do it on several horses, and I have.
So, looking back over the years, what you had two great ones. What makes a great barrel horse?
Conformation.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to really say breeding because that's not the case. I had one horse that was bred to the hilt and was the most athletic horse I could ever want, but he didn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He didn't like the stress of it.
Mm-hmm.
I had another horse, big Palomino, just gorgeous, Big Al.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a lot of winning with him, just, locally, like Painted Pony and Double M. And he won Double M for the year and was reserved for the year. And then he got EPM.
Oh my, okay.
Yeah.
And that, for our listeners, that's from possum, right? Possum?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
The parasites from a possum attacked the spinal cord
mm-hmm.
and the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I had 5 very good vets. And all 5 vets I asked, couldn't this be the start of EPM? All 5 of them said no and injected them somewhere, which was the worst thing we could have done.
Okay. Okay.
So I have kicked myself that I will never not think I know anything,
mm-hmm.
just
mm-hmm.
because a vet is a vet.
Mm-hmm.
That, if I had insisted in medicine or the testing, he'd be alive today.
Really? So were there ways of combating EPM if you could have caught it quick enough?
If I caught it quick enough, but his had gone too far.
It had. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So we've talked about your experience with horses and horsemanship, and for lack of a better word, I'm going to say rehabilitation and building relationship with these horses that were challenging. You know, you talk about barrel racers who look at you and go, I wouldn't ride that horse for no amount of money.
Right.
Yet you won a bunch of money on this horse. So let's shift just a bit then to the rider. Let's you know, it's said that rodeo is 90% mental, right? The mental attitude, the mental approach.
You can have the fastest horse and you can be the best rider, but if you don't have that mentally, you're not going to do anything.
So what is that? What is that mental aspect?
Doing all your homework with the horse and trusting your horse is the big thing. You know, I do these clinics, and so many times you'll see the riders just not trusting their horse. You know, if you've done all your homework, why aren't you trusting this horse? And I believe in riding with a lot of leg and weight and not much hand.
Okay.
You know, put a metal bit in your mouth and, you know, pull on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, I always tell people, is this your number one priority in your life?
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody says yes, I say get a life. Because this should not be your number one priority.
Running barrels and horses shouldn't be your number one priority.
No, like my priority is God, my husband, you know, my family and friends, my animals. So what are we down? Fifth?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. And animals from a standpoint of relationship, it sounds like.
Right.
And then competition and rodeo comes later, it sounds like.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. And so there's something that has to keep us motivated to go. And you went a lot of years, a lot of miles. You wore out a lot of pickup trucks, right? You had great horses. So what was the day-to-day motivation? It's Friday afternoon. We got to go again. It's Sunday night at 2:00 in the morning. We're just turning in the driveway. And I know in a few hours I got to get up and go to work. What's the motivation? What's the inspiration?
Well, you know, the horses are my main priority. You know, taking care of them is the main thing. And I also feel like just lost my train of thought.
Was it the competition that motivated you? The winning that motivated you?
Thank you for getting my train of thought back. I never felt like I was competing against anybody else. Whenever I ran, it was to make the best run that my horse and I can make together, not to beat you, or you.
Okay. And would order of the run, deepness of the ground, would that play any part into your thinking? Would that challenge you?
No, because I didn't ride any different. Okay. I trusted my horse. And this one rodeo we were at, I almost think it was Greenwich. It was kind of a track, but kind of grass. So the first barrel was on grass. The second barrel was track, and the third barrel was kind of grass track. And I was on spinner at the time, and I don't watch anybody that goes ahead of me because if people are knocking the second barrel, I don't want to think, well, what's wrong with the second barrel?
Okay.
So if something's not right, I trust Dickie to come over and tell me, this isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hearing the audience go, ah.
Oh, yeah.
So I know something's going on,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm looking at Dickie and he's not giving me any sign.
Mm-hmm.
So they call my name and we went running in there hard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, every girl that had gone before me had fallen down.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just went in there knowing that we're on grass, so it's going to be bad, but I left him alone
Mm-hmm.
and let him do it.
So he rated himself, he adjusted himself.
Yep. Right.
Wow.
And I didn't interfere with him, and we won that rodeo 3 years in a row.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Trust in the horse, allowing the abilities of the horse.
Right.
Is what it sounds like. So did he ever get into, and this is, I suppose, mental aspect of things, if you're not feeling good, if you're not feeling right, could you feel that in the horse? Was he off just a bit?
Yes, definitely you're in one with the horse.
Mm-hmm.
He feels you, so
mm-hmm.
if you don't feel right, it's going to throw him off.
Okay.
And this one night, I was on Missile, and he didn't warm up right. Okay. And I'm like, Dickie, you got to go scratch this. There's something wrong with Missile. And Dickie says, you're next.
Mm-hmm.
Just
mm-hmm.
go do it.
Mm-hmm.
We set the arena record that held up for years.
Really? And what didn't feel right in the warm-up?
He didn't have happy feet. He wasn't
right.
He wasn't giving me any grief,
Okay. And you're like, what's up with him? Is he not feeling right?
Right. Is there something wrong here?
And how do you explain it? He goes in, turns a great barrel pattern. He was fine after that?
Yeah, he was
so
fine.
Just the feeling? That's just where he was on that night?
I don't know. I think he was just trying to throw, me mentally off.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty neat that you trust a horse enough, especially when you talk about running in on that first barrel on the grass and people had fallen. Trust your horse and let it go. And that goes to, you've talked a little bit about in your clinics, having the confidence in yourself and having the confidence in your horse. And boy, that sure shows that.
You spend a lot of money, or your parents spend a lot of money to have the horse, the truck, the trailer, the vet bills, the blacksmith, the equipment, entry fees. And if you get all nerved up and you're not enjoying it, then why are you doing this?
So was that true for you? You simply enjoyed doing it and just had fun?
Yes.
Okay.
There was no, I didn't put the pressure on myself ever that, I gotta win the association. I never won an association because it wasn't that important to me.
Okay. That is so neat. That is so cool. So speaking of clinics, you've got a barrel racing clinics coming up here pretty quick. I show it's on July 8th and 9th.
Yes, in Attica.
In Attica at the Rodeo Arena, and that's on 30 Exchange Street right there in Attica. And talk just briefly about what that clinic consists of and how folks can get a hold of you if they're interested.
The clinic is just about full, if it isn't totally full. But, and I think it's pretty neat that that's where I started my barrel racing, and I've come full circle to where I'm teaching it there now.
Yep.
And Betty Johnson was very instrumental in getting these clinics going.
Yeah.
Because I said to her one time years ago, do you think I could give a clinic myself because we had Lynn McKenzie up here for 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I said, do you think I could do a clinic myself? And she said, Skeet, when do you want it?
Yeah.
And so we set a date, and she called me one night soon after that, and she said, Skeet, we got a problem. And I looked at Dickie, and I said, see, nobody wants to come. And Betty goes, we're full, and we need another day.
Need another day. Yeah, she
Yeah.
shared that story. That was a great story. I love that.
Yeah, but she was, you know, she's been a big part of my barrel racing life.
So, are you doing just this one clinic this year? Is it an annual clinic you do?
It's an annual clinic we do.
Okay.
And I have another clinic in August
Okay.
out by Buffalo that
Oh, you do?
we're
Okay.
doing too. And, you know, if anybody wants to have me for a barrel racing clinic, give me a call. You know, see me on Facebook. I'd be glad to do it.
Okay. So, absolutely. So, that's the easiest way to get a hold of you, Skeet, is on Facebook and just search for Skeet Barrett, right?
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
So, you've got the one in July. It's full now, though?
Yeah, I think it is full.
Okay. Okay.
But
then August, are there still some slots?
Nope, I think that's full too.
So what about June of next year at Attica? Is that one full yet?
Nope.
Okay.
No, we haven't taken anybody yet for that.
Okay. But if they're interested,
the year after COVID, Sandy Brewer, who runs that one out there, she called me and she said it was immediate. She said, "We're already full for Saturday and Sunday. Do you want to do a Friday?"
Yeah.
So we had a full clinic on 3 days that year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a great place to have a clinic out there.
Okay.
And Sandy Brewer is great to deal with putting on these clinics.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, I can imagine she would be. That's perfect. Well, this has been fun, Skeet. I'm glad we could have this conversation.
Well, I am too. You've made it very comfortable for me.
Well, it's I find when I get with good folks that got good stories, my job's pretty darn easy. I get to just listen and ask questions. and I hope I wasn't too nosy. But I've got to admit, as an announcer, my favorite event to announce was always the barrel racing.
No kidding.
Oh,
and why is that?
Oh, the action and the movement and horse after horse, and you had a time you're competing against, and 3 barrels they got to turn, and the crowd, oh my goodness. It was a way to get the crowd into the rodeo, unlike just about any of the other events. I absolutely loved barrel racing.
Yeah, I know. The crowds always love that.
You bet. Turn them for home. Head them home. My grandfather, this would have been probably in the early 60s, had a rodeo arena in Iowa. And I can remember him announcing it, saying, "Head for home." First time I ever heard that. So, but I really appreciated our conversation, and I think there's more stories here. So at some point we need to have more conversation.
Well, there's always a lot of stories when you've been doing it as long as I have.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed my conversation with Skeet. So many adventures, so much fun that she talked about, relationships with horses and so forth. As a matter of fact, after we ended this conversation, a few days later, she texted me and said, there's more that I need to talk about, that I'd like to share. What follows is that conversation. So, Skeet, you've got the clinics going on and everything. What else are you doing? Are you still riding? Are you still going?
Well, that's a good question. I have a great barrel horse. He's 13 years old. His name is Reno, and he's done very well. And I have 2 major problems with my back. And just last week, the nerves were killed in my back so that I'm not in terrible pain anymore.
So
And
surgically they went in and blocked the nerves?
they burn them.
Burn the nerves.
So, within a year, the nerves will grow back and I'll have to have this done again.
Okay. And was this from an injury, if you can share?
It was from a lot of years barrel racing and riding horses, yes.
Okay.
And so I've just been without pain for like a week.
Okay. And what's that like?
It's wonderful.
Yeah. It is amazing.
I couldn't take anything that would kill the pain, so I was living with pain all the time, and I still rode my barrel horse all the time and other horses here, but I couldn't compete, and the insurance wouldn't pay for this procedure, so the doctor finally said, listen, I'll do it if you want to pay out of your pocket. And I said, sign me up. And so I called my blacksmith. I said, get the back shoes on my horse because I need to go up in the arena and run a set of barrels and see if this is something I can go back and do. Okay.
So Reno, number one, thank goodness the back pain is done. Thank goodness and nerve pain is they say that is absolutely the worst pain there is, nerve pain.
Absolutely. And plus, you gotta remember that I'm 68 years old.
68. Okay.
And I'm proud of it. And I'm glad that I can do what I do.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about Reno. 13 years old, you said. Where'd you find him?
Where did I find Reno? It was, I'm drawing a blank as to where I found Reno. I bought him, a girl up in Vermont. I bought him when he was 6 years old.
Oh, okay.
And she was training on him. And I saw him and I just thought, wow, this horse is a great mover. And so I bought him, and it was just fun. He didn't know he could run. He just always been trained on,
I see.
So it was great seeing that he could run. And we placed it at PRC rodeos up to Painted Pony. And, he's a great horse. And hopefully now I can do something again.
Okay, well that's excellent. So you've had him 6 years then, and are you going to go pretty hard this year with him? What are you thinking?
I'm not going to go hard. No, I don't. I have nothing to prove.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to enjoy myself.
Okay. And where are you with trust and relationship with this horse?
Oh, he loves me to death.
Yeah.
And he can be a little bronky, too.
Okay.
My husband says I do it to these horses because they feel me, with so much adrenaline and so excited that I bring it out in them.
Okay. Well, there may be something to that, right? They do sense. They do.
Oh, yeah.
Are you pleasure riding the horse? I mean, do you trail ride? Do you just go?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he likes to run the hill as well.
Okay.
And so I just kind of do what he likes to do.
Oh, that is excellent. That is excellent. Well, have a good summer then. I hope you get out and about a bit and do go run some barrels. Get under the lights.
I hope so.
You've got a card, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And PRC only these days?
Yes, I have my gold card in both the APRA and PRC.
Okay. And there's stuff close enough. You got to run Attica, right? There's stuff around. Yeah.
Yep. Well, let's hope that this trial run is good.
It takes a lot of support to go down the road. It takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of focus, and a lot of support from other folks. Who supported you? Who supported you through your rodeo career?
My husband, Dickie, when I started doing good with spinner, he hung up his team roping rope and he just hauled me, and we were a team, and I couldn't have had such a successful barrel racing career if it wasn't for my husband.
Absolutely. That's great to have someone in your corner, someone to support you, and to set aside his, give up his career at that point
Right.
to haul to support you. What a blessing.
Yes, he has been, and even with the clinics now, we're a team doing them.
Now, you also spoke of NBHA.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Speak a little bit about that.
National Barrel Horse Association. They have them all over. You don't have to travel, long ways anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And they have some pretty big money purses, and it's a great place for anybody because there's divisions, and so anybody could win money.
Yeah. And does that replace rodeo for you?
No.
No.
No. It will never replace rodeo. It's so funny. Missile and I won the NBHA finals one year, and I told my husband, it was great, and I think NBHA is great. But for me, I need the crowd, the noise, the announcer,
Mm-hmm.
all that.
Okay. So you had been running NBHA for a while.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And thoughts of maybe getting back into that a little bit, just because
it's
close and like you said,
close.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And how many barrel racers? And for the listeners, NBHA, National Barrel Horse Association, they'll run like 3 divisions based on the times of the horses?
Yeah, 3 or 4 divisions. So somebody that ran 2 seconds behind the winner
Mm-hmm.
could win money.
In a lower division than the winner?
Correct.
Okay. And how many barrel racers might show up at an NBHA, a decent regional NBHA event?
Oh my gosh! Down in Fonda, they get, at least 200.
Really? And how many runs would you get?
You'd only get, the one run if you're in the open.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's all I'll do is just one run, and then have my time rolled over to the seniors, or whatever.
Okay. All right. Excellent.
I like to do these clinics because I feel like I'm giving back to the sport that has given me so much through the years.
Yeah.
And it's been an important part of my life, and I'm gonna miss rodeos and going hard.
Yeah. So, is there just pleasure horseback riding in the future? Trail rides? Is that your style?
I think it's more roping right now.
Okay.
Like the guys are out in our indoor arena right now, roping the dummy, and that's where I'm headed.
Okay.
I have a great roping horse, and I enjoy roping.
Oh, that is excellent. Now, that's not Reno. You don't rope off Reno.
Well, we're trying.
Okay.
we are definitely trying. Some days he can handle it. Other days he, gets a little spunky. But
Mm-hmm.
we're trying.
Okay. And where, if somebody were to get started and wanted to be serious about this, about going down the road, let's say campaigning in the Northeast, maybe the First Frontier Circuit, what would you budget for a good competitive horse? Meaning, you know what I mean by competitive. Going to be in the money.
Yeah. That's they've gone crazy now, and you know, I don't think you could get anything for less than
20,000. And would that be a top division horse? Would that be a 4D horse?
No, that would be up there.
Would it be up there? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, Dickie told me I should have told you the story about first time I went to Gary Rodeo. Gary Rodeo always gave $50 to the winner of their performance.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I finally enter it, and Dickie's so happy because I finally pulled up my big girl panties and I'm going to Gary.
Yes.
And we get out there and I look at my performance and it's all the tough girls.
Okay.
Okay. I looked at Dickie and I said, why do I have to be up with all the tough girls? You know, I wanted the $50.
Right.
And I won the $50.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Now, legend tells that to win Gary go round pays $50 in silver dollars.
Yeah, it hasn't in years. I think it used to in the beginning, but it hasn't in years.
Okay. And when you showed up and all the toughs are there, all right, all the top fast ladies, and I'm assuming not just from the First Frontier Circuit?
No, they came from Great Lakes also.
Okay. So they came to town. You drew up in that same go-round. What do you remember about that run? About the ground? About the energy? And who were you riding, Spinner the Winner at the time?
I was riding Spinner the Winner.
Okay. So what do you remember?
It was just it wasn't the whole first go. It was just one of the performances of the first go. I know I ended up placing, but I won our performance.
Won your
And
performance.
got the $50. Yeah.
Okay. And Gary's a big pen?
It's a decent sized pen, but they just pack the people in there.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it so fun.
Okay. And that rodeo was a bit intimidating for you to go to compete at for a while.
It was, because you get, all the tough girls go there, and plus girls from Great Lakes. So it, intimidated me, and until I always believed that you'll never know unless you get out and do it.
Okay.
You never know what you're going to be missing.
And at the same time, North Washington was PRCA at that point.
Oh, that was a fun arena too. It was a long run to the first barrel.
Tufts come in for that one too?
Yep.
Okay.
They came in for that one too. I won a go round there.
Okay.
Kellettville was another fun rodeo.
Yeah. That was in like a national forest, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And it was in the middle of nowhere. And they packed it.
Okay.
You didn't know where all these people came from.
Yeah.
But
okay. All right. And any other rodeo? Go ahead.
You went there, right?
To Kellettville. I was there one time as a high school rodeo announcer.
Cool.
That was a little bit far afield for me when I was competing, but because we were living in New Hampshire at the time. But I remember going there. Gosh, it must have been 98, maybe 1998. I went there, and of course the story of the PRCA rodeo, and just a neat rodeo facility, like you say, in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere.
So how many belt buckles do you have in your possession?
Oh, over 30.
Over 30. Any saddles?
One saddle.
One?
That was an NBHA when I won the finals.
And do you use that saddle? Do you ride in that
Mm,
saddle?
No, and I'm very particular, and I never cared for or felt comfortable in it, so it's just in my tack room.
Okay. And the saddle that you are comfortable in, how long have you had that saddle?
Well, the saddle that I'm, won in for years is a Double J Lynn McKenzie.
Okay.
And then just maybe 5 years ago, I bought a Double J Brittany Posey.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's what I ride in now.
Okay. Okay. And you like that saddle a lot?
I do, and I've kept my other one because I won everything with the other one.
There you go. when the New York State Rodeo Museum opens up, that saddle will need to be on display along with your 30 belt buckles.
Yeah, right. There, we were at a jackpot one time, and I came out from barrel racing, and I'm getting off, and Dickie's unsaddling my horse right there, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I just sold your saddle."
Oh my.
And I'm like,
no.
"You did what?" I was so upset.
Yeah.
That you have your competition saddle that you feel comfortable in.
Yeah.
And he sold it. He never did that again, I'll tell you.
Oh my. So some of our listeners, they've asked about traveling and travel stories. So going down the road, big runs, short runs, does any stories come to mind of the traveling portion? Or yeah.
If Dickie was here, he would tell you that when we leave the house,
Mm-hmm.
I'm asleep.
You are asleep. Okay.
I'm asleep 8 miles down the road.
Okay.
We went to Johnson, Vermont, which was quite a haul for us. And I got out of the truck, and the girl said, "Skeet, this is pretty far for you."
Yeah.
And I went, "Yeah, yeah, it was."
You just had woken up. I see.
Yeah, I slept the whole way.
Yeah. Did you travel much at night? Was that preferred, just from the heat and the horses and just getting around?
Yeah, we traveled a lot at night. One night we left Cowtown, and it was pouring rain, and we were going to stay overnight. And I said, "We can't do this to Missile. We got to go." And Dickie said, "I was counting on, sleeping." And I said, "Well, you drive an hour, I'll drive an hour, and we'll do that all the way home."
Okay.
So I don't drink coffee. I don't have caffeine. So he drove an hour. We stopped. I got a large cappuccino and a large candy bar. And we got home, and I said to Dickie, "Are you going to back this in?" And he had slept all the way. He couldn't believe I drove all the way.
Oh, my
But
goodness.
I was, just bebop, and I was wired,
Wired on sugar and caffeine.
I come in the house, he goes to bed, and I'm cleaning.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that'll do it. That gets your engine running.
It does, that's for sure, when you're not used to it.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Skeet?
Not that I can think of, but this has been fun, Doug.
It has been fun. And if anything comes up, I don't care when it is, and you want to have another conversation, a story pops in your brain or whatever, let's capture it.
All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And if you just want to chat, Skeet, give me a call.
Yeah, I miss talking to you.
I guess so. It's been a pleasure. It has been fun.
It has, Doug. Thank you so much.
All right. Goodbye.
Take care.
When I first started this podcast, I spoke with Betty Johnson of the New York State Rodeo Museum Facebook group page, and she said very early on, you gotta talk to Skeet Barrett. So we were able to. And I so enjoyed this conversation, and I hope there's more conversations that Skeet and I can have. If you ever have any questions that you'd like me to ask Skeet, I'd love to do a follow-up show. So post them in your comments, get them wherever you can get them, send them to me, and let's see if we can do some follow-up here. I would love to do that. Now, to make your listening easier, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Actually, any place where you listen to your podcast, do a search and simply follow us. We ask that you help us spread the word on Facebook. If you like these posts, send them up, post them up, share them up, and reminder to check out the New York State Rodeo Museum Facebook group page and become a member. This is Beyond the Chutes. Until next time, this is Doug Simcox. Thank you for listening.